The sonar computers processed 10,000 acoustic signals per second, analyzing frequency patterns, filtering background noise, and cross-referencing threat databases with machine precision. But they all missed the same thing: the subtle rhythm hiding beneath the ocean's natural symphony. Captain Thompson put on his old headphones, closed his eyes, and listened to the same data the computers had dismissed as whale songs and current noise. Within minutes, he'd located the enemy submarine that had been hunting them for 3 days. Sometimes the most advanced technology is no match for a human ear that knows how to listen. Captain Marcus Thompson had been the Navy's most feared submarine hunter for 30 years before budget cuts and digital warfare pushed him into retirement. They called him Ghost because he could track enemy subs through the deepest waters using nothing but his ears and intuition. Now, at 65, he spent his days fishing off the California coast, the same waters where he'd once hunted Soviet submarines during the Cold War. This is the story of how human instinct saved the fleet when artificial intelligence failed. If you believe that some skills can never be replaced by algorithms, hit that like button and subscribe, because Captain Thompson is about to prove why the human ear is still the ocean's most powerful weapon. Captain Marcus Thompson sat on his weathered dock, watching the sunrise paint the Pacific in shades of gold and amber. At 65, he'd found contentment in this simple routine: coffee at dawn, fishing until noon, and quiet evenings listening to the ocean's endless conversation. 5 years had passed since the Navy forced him into retirement. Budget constraints and technological advancement had made his specialized skills obsolete, or so they claimed. The younger officers preferred computer analysis and satellite surveillance over what they called outdated intuition. His small coastal home was decorated with memories from 3 decades of naval service. Photographs lined the walls showing Thompson with his submarine crews, commendations for successful missions, and maps marking the locations of enemy vessels he'd tracked through the world's most dangerous waters. The phone rang at 0600 hours, its shrill tone cutting through the morning calm. Admiral Sarah Chun, Pacific Fleet Command, spoke with the crisp authority of someone facing a crisis. Admiral Chun explained the situation with military precision. For 3 days, the USS Defender and her escort vessels had been shadowed by an unidentified submarine. Advanced sonar systems detected no threats, satellite surveillance showed empty ocean, and acoustic analysis revealed nothing beyond natural sea sounds. Yet intelligence reports confirmed an enemy presence. Thompson listened as Chun described their technological arsenal: sonar arrays worth $50 million, computer systems that could identify whale species by their heartbeats, and acoustic algorithms that processed thousands of sound signatures simultaneously. All of it useless against an enemy that seemed to exist only in intelligence reports. The request came with barely concealed desperation. Would Thompson consider returning to active duty as a consulting specialist? The Navy needed someone who understood submarine warfare before computers existed, someone who could hear threats that machines couldn't detect. Within hours, Thompson found himself aboard the USS Defender, standing in the sonar room he'd once commanded. The space had been transformed by technology. Multiple computer screens displayed real-time acoustic data, digital processors analyzed sound waves with mathematical precision, and young operators monitored threats through electronic interfaces. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, the current sonar officer, briefed Thompson on their detection capabilities. The new systems could identify submarine signatures from hundreds of miles away, track multiple targets simultaneously, and predict enemy movements through artificial intelligence algorithms. Everything was automated, efficient, and apparently ineffective. Morrison demonstrated the computer's analysis of recent acoustic data. The screens showed whale songs, thermal layer disturbances, and background ocean noise, all cataloged and dismissed as non-threatening. The enemy submarine, if it existed, was invisible to their most advanced sensors. Thompson studied the digital displays with growing understanding. The computers were processing information correctly, but missing the context that only human experience could provide. They analyzed individual sounds without recognizing the patterns that connected them. He requested access to the raw acoustic data, the unprocessed sounds that computers filtered and categorized. Morrison hesitated, explaining that human ears couldn't distinguish the subtle variations that digital analysis revealed. Thompson insisted, asking for his old headphones and a direct connection to the sonar array. The headphones were museum pieces by modern standards, heavy, analog devices that transmitted sound without digital enhancement. Thompson positioned them carefully, closed his eyes, and began listening to the ocean's voice with the intensity of a master musician tuning his instrument. For 30 minutes, he absorbed the acoustic landscape. Whale songs formed a natural chorus, thermal currents created subtle pressure variations, and distant shipping lanes contributed their mechanical rhythms. The computers had cataloged everything accurately, but they'd missed the anomaly hiding within the symphony. Thompson heard it in the spaces between sounds, a rhythm that didn't belong to nature. Buried beneath whale songs was a mechanical heartbeat, so subtle that digital filters had dismissed it as background noise. The enemy submarine was using the whale migration as acoustic camouflage, matching their movements to the animal's natural patterns. He opened his eyes and pointed to a section of the acoustic display. The submarine was there, masked by whale songs but betrayed by the slight artificial precision of its movements. The computers had been listening to the whale sounds so intently that they'd missed the predators swimming among them. Morrison stared at the display in disbelief. Their most advanced algorithms had analyzed the same data for 3 days without detecting the threat Thompson had found in minutes. The enemy submarine had been using biological camouflage, a tactic no computer had been programmed to recognize. Thompson explained his discovery with the patience of a teacher. The submarine's crew had studied whale migration patterns and synchronized their movements with the animal's natural behavior. Their acoustic signature blended perfectly with whale songs, creating camouflage that only human intuition could penetrate. The revelation transformed the fleet's response. Within hours, the USS Defender had maneuvered into position to track the enemy submarine. The computers, now programmed to recognize bioacoustic camouflage, could maintain surveillance while the submarine remained hidden among the whales. Admiral Chun contacted Thompson personally to acknowledge his contribution. The enemy submarine had been conducting intelligence gathering for 3 days, potentially compromising multiple naval operations. Thompson's detection had prevented a significant security breach. The Navy offered Thompson a permanent consulting position, recognizing that certain skills couldn't be replaced by digital systems. He accepted selectively, agreeing to assist with situations where human intuition might succeed where computers failed. Thompson returned to his coastal home with renewed purpose. The ocean still called to him each morning, but now he listened with the ears of both fisherman and hunter. The USS Defender continued its mission with enhanced awareness. The crew had learned that technology was a tool, not a replacement for human expertise. Some threats could only be recognized by minds that understood the difference between artificial patterns and natural rhythms. Thompson's story became legend among submarine crews, the reminder that human instinct remained valuable in an age of artificial intelligence. The most advanced computers could process information faster than any human mind, but they couldn't replace the wisdom that came from 30 years of listening to the sea. Captain Marcus Thompson's story reminds us that human expertise and technological advancement work best when combined, not when one replaces the other. In our rush to embrace artificial intelligence, we sometimes forget that certain skills can only be developed through experience and intuition. If this story moved you, please like this video and subscribe to Everyday Quiet Heroes. Share it with someone who believes that human wisdom still matters in our digital age. If you or someone you know has experienced similar acts of quiet heroism, please share those stories in the comments. They inspire us and help shape future stories that celebrate everyday courage. Thank you for watching. And remember, in a world increasingly dominated by algorithms, never underestimate the power of human instinct and the knowledge that comes from truly listening to the world around us.